Welcome to Idle Talk. Today we have an interesting episode because we're going to be talking about stuff that I've been watching on TV. Yes, we are past Q4, so that means I'm letting myself watch some TV. So let's just, before we get into it, let's talk about the Idle Talk minis that we premiered. I hope you guys liked it. It's something short, super short, shorter than an Idle Talk episode, about topics that not necessarily would make it into a full episode. At least that's the hope. I definitely will elaborate on things as, it's deemed necessary. But, we had Idle Talk minis, and as of now, don't know how many premiered yet. The plan, I won't lie to you, the plan was just to have the one on the Wednesday. But anything to get in front of your ears, to take up some of your time, to really get you to vibe with the show. So Idle Talk minis, great to do. I had a lot of fun doing them. But let's just talk about Scream 5, and let's just give you a spoiler alert, because I think I will go into spoilers. I will try not to, but definitely I might let a few things slip, because I want to talk about Scream 5 and my experience viewing Scream 5. So, as I've mentioned before, the only reason why I like horror movies is because I got to watch every single horror movie with my sister. It was her first time watching every single horror movie that we've ever seen. So Freddy vs. Jason, Jason's movies on its own, Freddy's movies on their own, Saw. The list goes on and on. Amityville Horror, all the Conjurings, Annabelle, all the Annabelle movies, all those good, fine things. So I got to experience that with her, and that was a good experience. It's a connection nonetheless. All the Chucky movies, even the TV show, we just go. I haven't finished watching the TV show because it bled into Q4, so I have to finish watching that. I'm reminding myself to go finish watching Chucky. But so Scream 5, we watched the first 3 on HBO Max when it was available there, and there was a Scream 4 that I was not aware of, so I bought it on Amazon Prime. So Scream 4 I own on Amazon Prime, and also the new Saw that isn't the one that Chris Rock is in. I also own that on Amazon Prime. So, as we watch movies, there was a need to kind of finish watching the series. It's another car just driving by really loud. Anyway, so, as the needs came along, I bought the movies, as I should, because I like those movies. But, so yeah, we watched the first 4, obviously, and Scream 5 was the first Scream movie I got to see in theaters, so that definitely enhanced my experience. And also, watching it in one of my favorite movie theaters, the Alamo Drafthouse, located on Central Avenue in Yonkers. I love that movie theater. I used to frequent that thing like every other day, it felt like, in 2020, like leading up to 2020. It just, the Alamo season pass really helps you connect with cinema, and it makes experiencing the experience of going to the movie theaters just much easier. It's like, I'll pay X amount of money a month, and then just a little fee at the end for every time I want to get a free ticket. Like the season pass, I highly recommend if you're in the area where a season pass is allowed. Like, the Alamo Drafthouse isn't everywhere, but fortunately there's one like 40 minutes away. I think it's in DC, so maybe it might be like a 50-minute drive from me, which is a drive I'll do to go to an Alamo Drafthouse. But nonetheless, Alamo. So Scream 5, it was a doozy, really. It tells you, again, just like every Scream, it'll tell you what's gonna happen, and then it's up to you to believe it or not. So I remember the classic, the killers behind the refrigerator trope in every horror movie. When the fridge is open, they're in the fridge, and they close it, boom, suddenly appeared. So in Scream 1, let's talk about Scream 1 real quick. Sydney is in her house. She goes to open the closet because something's happening, right? And she opens the closet, and we kind of expect the killer to be on the other side of the closet, like the classic fridge scene, right? And then she closes the closet, and then nothing happens, right? And then we move a few more scenes later, and then the killer jumps out of the closet that she originally checked. I can appreciate that moment because it felt, the setup felt, with the music and how the trope usually is, that we would be expecting the killer right about then, right? We'd be like, predictable, we got him. and then nothing happened, and then the killer popped out of the same closet just a few minutes later. So, taking that into account, I think Scream 5 did that, but on a whole different level. Just like it, I think it being the first Scream I've seen in a movie theater, it just made me like the movie better than it presented itself. I'm not gonna say it's a perfect movie, even though the experience plus, the connection that I have with horror movies, and that I went to go see with my sister, like I don't, taking that all into account, I think Scream 5 was a solid movie. I've seen a lot of people criticize it, and it says it sucks. It's a 6 or like a 5, but I think after first watching it, I left there and I was like, wow, this is a perfect movie experience. Note how I said experience. I didn't say it was a perfect movie. I would grade it with a more sympathetic rubric, if that makes any kind of sense. I would give it an 8. I think Scream 5 was an 8 out of 10. Again, they mentioned legacy characters, and they mentioned how it's a reboot, but it's a sequel, some shit like that. They wanted to reboot it, but it's a sequel because it includes legacy characters. So I like that the story ultimately stuck to its roots, right? It presented us a main character, or aka final girl, but people, spoilers alert, there's multiple people at the end, and it presented us with that, and it stuck it through till the very end. I thought that Sidney Prescott coming into the movie would ultimately, the story would shift and it would focus on her again. For some reason, I just felt like that was an easy kind of thing to guess and thing to worry about. But ultimately, it stuck to its, it stuck to the script. Like, for the lack of a better term, it said, this is your people you have to care about. We're going to bring back people that you already know. But ultimately, this movie is about the people we want you to care about. And it's this Brady Bunch of people that we showed you, this Breakfast Club group that we're showing you. And, from start to finish, this is their movie. That also includes people from the movies you already love. And I can appreciate that. And I'm glad that it stuck that way. I'm glad it didn't shift the story midway through to make it all about Sidney Prescott. So, I don't remember any of the main characters' names. And I think that's going to hurt my review. But there is a set of twins on there in that movie. And one of the girls is in this show called Yellow Jackets on Hulu. And I will talk about Yellow Jackets a little bit later. But again, Scream, I have some notes that I'm going to read out to you that I took upon it. So the opening scene to Scream 5 has to be the best opening scene of the franchise. It was actually drawn out, but every moment of it was just, like you're on the edge of your seat. And it takes some inspirations from the previous ones. It pays homage to them. But ultimately, it felt like one of the best opening scenes of any of the Scream movies because of how well it was paced. The dialogue wasn't that cringe. The dialogue was a perfect amount of cringe. And it really showcased that technology these days. How just anybody with just, I guess, determination, I want to say. Because everybody, I want you to just to take a moment, use this as an exercise. How many websites have the same password? Think about that. How many of the websites you go onto, and if you have an account, how many of them share a password? How many of them are either kind of the same or exactly the same? Think about that real quick. I'll give you a second. Think about your number, because that's a problem. As you can see, companies have data breaches all the time. I don't want to say all the time, but it's not a shock when it happens, right? Because ultimately, it's just a flaw that human people make, and ultimately, there's consequences to that. But when your account gets compromised like that, right, and you share that password with other accounts, different accounts that you have, of course, your information is just a crumb in a cake full of data. But people who are determined to do bad will ultimately find a way to do bad. So if they just happen to stumble upon your information, your account information, they're going to go try to reverse look up your email associated. They're going to try different passwords on different websites because they're like, if it's the same, what are the odds that this person used this same exact email for their bank? And then they'll obviously have your card on file sometimes that when that information gets compromised. So, just be wary. Also, just a PSA to change your Instagram passwords, okay? There's a lot of accounts that I've seen that I follow that I just don't follow anymore because they got their shit hacked because of Bitcoin mining. And then they have to post this freaking like hostage video like, oh, Bitcoin mining is real, it's legit, go hit up so and so. And let's talk about why is your account getting compromised. Is it because you clicked on a link in a DM? Is this you? And then you check like, is it me? I don't know, what did I do? Or is it because you have a weak password? Or is it because somebody hit you up like, yo, let me get your bank info, let me put in tank, give me 2K and I'll make it into 15K, and then that's it, and then it does work, but then months down the line some shit like this happens. Let's just say what it is. Like, did you fall for that? Did you fall for the let's make 10K if you give me 2K? Like that, like, you don't want to do that? That's like so easy. Like, come on, let's do it. Did you fall for that? But so yeah, PSA, change your Instagram passwords. Now let's get back into Scream 5 real quick. These are gonna be my final thoughts on the movie. Credit to Scream 5 that it did not pull a Force Awakens. And when I say that, I mean Scream 5 was not a shot-for-shot remake of Scream 1. It had a diverse cast of people that we could guess that was the killer. Even our own family, which is a trope in the Scream movies, but it was great. It was a great experience, I think, just because the legacy characters really added to, like, hey, is it you? I mean, they made good points, like, hey man, you've been fucked up so many times, like, how are we sure it's not you? And as they say that to is it Dewey? It's not Dewey. Is it Dewey? After checking, it is Dewey. That just needed to clear that up. I just couldn't remember it. But David Arquette's character, and he as a legacy character and as somebody that's been through it 4 times previously, his insight to the cast and crew really meshed really well, and I want to give him credit for it. I'm not going to spoil anything after that, but I appreciate the kind of homage it paid to its original characters and to its original director, Wes Craven. At the end, it said #4Wes, and if you didn't know, he died. He also made a cameo in the first Scream movie as a janitor who kind of had the same outfit as Freddy, because he also helped make Nightmare on Elm Street. But yeah, so I loved Scream 5. I will recommend it to any Scream lovers. If it's your first Scream movie, you definitely want to go in like 25 minutes earlier than your scheduled time and sit in the theater and just watch the explanations that they give you beforehand. That'll help you a lot. But if this is also your first Scream movie, after you finish watching it, go back, watch the other ones. It can't hurt. Okay, we're back. I was rudely interrupted by police and just some lady filling her tires up with air. So I forgot where I was, but let's just take that little break as a sign. Let's talk about Mandalorian real quick. So not the Mandalorian, freaking Book of Boba Fett. Spoilers if you haven't watched it already. This whole last episode was just about setting up the Mandalorian in the series you're watching. So that was a great episode. I'm excited to see where the show heads with that. But yeah, just cars. Anyway, the reason why I bring the Book of Boba Fett up is because another one of their characters that we met 2 episodes ago, the Power Rangers that we met, quote unquote Power Rangers in the episode 2 episodes ago. That one of the girls in that also was in this show called Yellow Jackets, and I thought that was pretty cool, getting to see those 2 people that I know from a completely different series. Just like, wow, look at you, like you're like really like getting money, huh? Like I'm gonna say this, Yellow Jackets was so fucking good, and this is my PSA to you. If you're watching a show or you're gonna start watching a new show, you need recommendations. Yellow Jackets on Hulu. Trust me, I give that series an 8 out of 10 because some of the moments is very cringe. I think the episode 9 was just nothing but sex, and it's uncomfortable because it's just a lot of sex. So or episode 8, one of those episodes. So just, be warned that they're it's that kind of show. It ultimately, we're following a girls' soccer team in high school, a Catholic school, I believe, or some kind of religion school, because there's a really religious girl on the team. But I digress. So we follow them. We're rooting for them to win their state championship, and ultimately they crash. They on their way to Seattle for their soccer games. They crash and are stranded, and ultimately the people that survive are some of the girls, obviously, and one of their coaches and the sons of the other coach that ultimately perished. So they described that the coach's death as like he was trying to help strap someone in and get their mask on and whatever, because when the pressure drops, a mask comes down, you have to do it for yourself and stuff. So he was trying to help somebody out, and then the door opened on the plane and he flew out and died. We get to see that on the surface below he was still alive, and then his son tried to go help him out of a tree branch, and the tree fell, and then that kills him ultimately. So our dog was fighting, and my sister brings up a great point that I want people to think about. Really, is the people that die in the beginning of tragedies, do they die because they were good people, right? Do they die first as kind of God's way, whoever you believe in, as their way to kind of be like, you know what, there's no reason for pain and suffering here, let's come home. So just think about that real quick. I'll give you some time, because I don't know where to go from here, because whenever she said that, I was like, are you fucking serious? Is it the people that die at the beginning, are they the best of us when it comes to things like that? Like, if I was in a tragedy like that and I'm like still alive, now I'm gonna think about that. Like, I'm gonna think what my sister said. I'm like, fuck, am I not good enough to get like a break? I can't catch a break. I couldn't have died. Now I gotta like figure out how to survive in the wilderness. Like, so let's think about that for a second, guys, because it set me spiraling. I had to pause the show. I was like, why would you put it that way? But so yeah, okay. So the show works in two ways. There's a present version of the characters. So in our same year, 2021 at the time, because they premiered in 2021. So it was a present day version of the characters of the cast that we know and love, and they show us flashbacks, right? And so when we're in those flashbacks, we're like, all right, we don't have to worry about this, and that, because we know we see them in the present. But somehow, some way, having the knowledge that we see them in the present, they're active in the present, the story is following them in the present, I still worry for these characters. Like that one girl I mentioned earlier in Scream, that she's in the show, I worried about her the entire time. I saw her in the present, and I was still scared that they were gonna kill off this girl, and she became one of my favorite characters. I don't want to spoil the names, because I want you to just figure out which characters I'm talking about and enjoy it on your own. Okay, it's not that kind of review, but it's just more of as a PSA to go watch the things I'm talking about. Go watch Yellow Jackets, because the opening scene, I feel like, from episode 1 did not pay off at the end, and I was like, oh, I'm so confused. Who is this person that we're supposed to be seeing? But ultimately, I think it sets up. I think now the opening scene sets up season 2, and season 2 is wide open, just for the taking. So if you go on Reddit, look up Yellow Jackets subreddit. Go through there after you've watched this show. Commit to watching this show. It's only 10 episodes. Commit to watching it. Go on Reddit. My head is moving a lot. I'm passionate about this. But go on Reddit and just talk, and just, not talk, but like read the comments, read the theories. It is a joy to do it. And I used to follow Arrow. I used to love that show on the CW. And going on Reddit was just a fucking pure nightmare. And it kind of follows that format where it gives you flashbacks and it gives you shit in the present that you're supposed to care about. But I think it took that formula and did it better. That's all I have to say about that. Yellow Jackets was really a solid 8 out of 10. The reason why I didn't give it a 10 out of 10 was because I don't think it deserved anything higher than 8. I think it's a very good, very great 8. But I feel like the momentum that it gave us towards the end of the season, leading up to season 2, if season 2 doesn't start off with a crazy bang, I don't know how it could be anything less than a 7 at that point, or 6. I just think the way they set up the story, the way they, kind of brought it to an end, but then bam, not really. Story's not done. Season 2, I think the way they ended season 1 guarantees you a season 2, and it might even guarantee you a season 3 if fans want it. I think it's ultimately in the hands of the fans. It's like, if you like the show, we'll give you the show, and if we're able to produce more content for season 3, then go ahead, we'll give it to you. It was amazing, and to see kind of the genre it's in, really. I'm gonna Google what genre Yellow Jackets is in real quick, and then I'm gonna continue my thought. So I'm back. So Yellow Jackets can be described as a psychological / horror show, and it does play on the psychological part a lot, but I think it's just, let me go back to my podcast screen real quick just to make sure I'm still recording so I don't talk into nothing. But psychological horror drama show, and Stephen King sent out a tweet about it that went crazy on the subreddit, and kind of just giving the show its blessing, like its stamp. It's like a stamp of approval. It's like, hey, this does psychological horror drama very well, and especially with a cast that's supposed to be in high school, it does it very well. And he gave it praise, and that was the final stamp of approval it needed. As soon as the season ended, I went on Reddit, I looked up what people were talking about at the end of the season, and I saw that tweet, Stephen King giving it its stamp of approval, and I sent it to my friends. I was like, hey, horror guys, check out this show, please, because if Stephen King likes it, give it a chance. So to all my people out there, give horror a chance, but give Yellow Jackets a chance. I think you'll come out more than likely very satisfied with the experience. But that's it for today's Idle Talk. Something different. Not necessarily a review fully of this new show that I want you to watch, and a kind of spoiler-free review of Scream. If I could even call it a review. I didn't give it an exact grade. I gave it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10, I remember. To me, that movie was perfect because of the experience. But yeah, I will put a little rating on Yellow Jackets again. I'll say it is definitely a solid 8 out of 10, and I think you should go watch it. But I'm Fernando, and I'll see you whenever I feel like. If it's a bonus episode or if it's a mini, find out. Peace.